It's both these players 4-0. Oh boy, Clay, between the deck list and now the Cubs hoodie, this is tough.
Yeah.
This is tough here.
A lot to dislike.
Yeah.
Lots to criticize.
This is really tough. Fortunately, he's a super nice kid.
Yeah.
At least he's got that going for him. They'll be given the green light here in just a moment, and away we go. It's a Cavernous Souls, Naming Elf, and it's an Elvish Mystic. To Spricklemire will go. He'll bobble himself, take a little look. That card stays on top. He'll be drawing a card here in just a moment from the delayed cantrip. And now, sacrifice a Marsh Flats. So he's not going to draw the card he looked at. It'll be a mystery card. And there's an Overgrown Tomb. So Spricklemire down to 17. Of course, Death Shadow looking to deal himself a lot of damage. We'll see where we go to next. It'll be an Inquisition of Kozilek. Take a little look here. Another Elvish Mystic, Land of War Elves, Path to Exile, Devoted Druid, and the very powerful Chameleon Colossus. Great card in this matchup, though this 5-color version that Clay does play, he does have access to Lingering Souls and Tarmogoyf, so it's not the end-all be-all.
Well, unclear if those cards are even in his deck right now.
That is the question.
So now the big question here is Spricklemire can either find a way to get Chameleon Colossus out of the hand or find a way to break up mana.
Taking a look at Spicklemire's hand, I see a Dismember and a Fatal Push over there along with the Tarmogoyf. So that's that kind of recipe for success that we talked about, which is disruption or removal plus a clock. So he's actually got a lot of the stuff that he's looking for. He's also going to get to draw a card with Mishra's Bauble on Jason's turn, assuming that Clay doesn't forget the trigger. He's going to select Path to Exile. So he's not going to break up the mana. He's going to break up the answer. We'll head back over to Jason. Spricklemire draws a card, picked up a copy of Traverse the Uvenwald, collected company to draw there for Jason Rice. That's a pretty good one. For Rice, it's an Elvish Mystic and a Land of War Elves and not any more land. So we're going to go over to Spricklemire. Spricklemire will draw. He's found a Street Wraith. His turn will probably start there. So he'll fall down to 15. Picked up a Temur Battle Rage.
That's a really nice one in this kind of matchup. It's a card that's kind of fallen out of favor, but when you're playing against a deck like Elves, which is so effective at chump blocking, and there's very little removal to be seen, Battle Rage is going to shine.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I thought, I was a little surprised that Spricklemire took the path initially because I'm thinking, well, you're not really going to play a creature. You're all going to be about removal and discard for a little while, so just keep the mana suppressed and then eventually find a second threat or another discard to take care of the path. But if you want Temur Battle Rage to be part of your plan, then it makes a lot of sense to get the removal spell out there, let Rice develop his mana some, and just play over the top.
Now, right now, Tarmogoyf's actually pretty big. There's an artifact, creature, sorcery, land, instant in the graveyard. So we're looking at a 5/6.
Yep.
And that does a really nice job against Chameleon Colossus, so I'm curious if he wants to drop that this turn or not. It looks like the answer is going to be no. He's going to Fatal Push Land of War Elves. And now he's going to play Traverse. He's got Delirium, so he can go get Death Shadow if he wants. Though he's just sped right by one. What is he searching for here? Oh.
Oh, boy.
Is a Staticaster.
I like this line. Oh boy. Is a Staticaster a card we can take a look at here for those unfamiliar at home? It's going to do a nice job of cleaning up those elves if Clay gets to get to his next turn. What's nice about this, even if Rice goes untapped Chameleon Colossus, if you're able to shoot down the elves, then you're just looking at a 4/4, and now the Tarmogoyf in your hand trumps it.
No, you can beat a 4/4. That's not too hard at all. Now, Windswept Heath was the draw. So the question now is, do you want to go to Chameleon Colossus, Patrick, or do you want to go to Collected Company?
I I mean, if I'm Rice, I gotta believe that my Colossus is no good here if I'm losing all of my mana. I think he needs to collect a company.
And if your opponent searched for is a Staticaster,
Right.
you know, instead of Tarmogoyf or Death Shadow.
Because you're only going to get to play one of the two cards.
Well, which 4-mana spell is he going to play? Well, he's going to go with Chameleon Colossus, and you're not a big fan.
I
we'll see.
I think both the lines are rough. I'm not buying that this is going to be good enough without mana.
Well, Tarmogoyf the draw. Now, Spricklemire may not have the blue source.
That's a really bold traverse in that case. I mean, if he's without blue, then...
Well, there's Tarmogoyf. And now what this means is it's a 5/6.
Well, Spicklemire's now in trouble because that Chameleon Colossus just pumps over the top.
Yeah, it can just turn itself into an 8/8. A Razor Verge Thicket to draw here for Jason Rice.
And if Spricklemire says no blocks, then you go, okay, take 4 and collect a company.
That's bad news too. Yeah, I like that. I like the idea of searching up Staticaster, but we were under the assumption that he had a fetch land to go get blue mana.
Right.
Here comes Chameleon Colossus. No blocks, and yeah, he's going to do exactly what you said, which is, okay, no pumps, take 4. Pass the turn back with collect a company at the ready. So Spricklemire will draw. He's picked up a copy of Thoughtseize. What he hasn't found is blue source of mana yet.
So I guess the line from here is hoping that you can have Tarmogoyf plus Temur Battle Rage cheat the game out. But it's tough because he's going to be stuck in the Abyss soon. I mean, he's just going to have to block this Colossus every turn.
Boy, Thoughtseize is going to bring him down to 7.
And that's, I mean, that's really rough now because the Colossus is now just lethal on its own.
Here is Collected Company. Top 6 cards. Archdruid's a pretty nice one. So Jason will take that, and he'll also take another mana accelerant. This one is Llanowar Elves. Now keep in mind, Archdruid does pump Chameleon Colossus. It's a changeling, which means it's an elf. So it's actually a 5/5 Chameleon Colossus now.
And now the Staticaster's not even worth anything.
Mm-hmm. And if you're Spricklemire, you might just be all done here.
Yeah, I mean, you're chump blocking, and then what's your path?
Yeah. Yeah, this is a real issue. I mean, he might want to play the other Tarmogoyf, but then one Tarmogoyf is chump blocking. Decisions. Perhaps he should have searched up Death Shadow with the Traverse. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of upside if he draws the fetch land there for the Staticaster.
Yeah, I think the problem with searching up a Death Shadow is now your Death Shadow is squared off against a pro-black creature.
Sure.
And where are you supposed to go?
There's the other Tarmogoyf. Pass the turn back over to Jason Rice, who will untap all those permanents and draw a card. Picked up a Court of Calling, I believe. Right now, Archdruid gets to tap for 5 mana. I'm not sure what Jason Rice's line is here, but he's tapping some mana already. Draw may not have been Court of Calling, may have been something else then. All right, another Archdruid.
I'm just sending everything now, I think.
I think he's clear to do that. Well, yeah, I think he's lining it up, yeah, and saying if you block my 2 biggest creatures, I'm going to get in for 9, and that'll take care of that, which is exactly what happened. So Jason Rice going to win this match over Clay Spricklemire, 2-1. Elves does win over 5-color Death's Shadow. And Elves actually kind of looking pretty good right now. So Elves is a deck that we've seen 3 times this weekend. I think we've seen it win all 3 times. It's been on camera?
At least 2-0.
Yeah, Robert Graves won this match here, and Todd Stevens got destroyed by Elves. That was
Right,
that was in the hands of Robert Graves. So Elves a deck that's been picking up unpopular. I keep saying this, but on Magic Online as well. We also saw Ross Merriam when we were in Richmond a couple weeks ago make top 4 with Elves, and it's clearly a deck that's being represented quite a bit here this weekend, at least so far on camera.
Yes.
A deck that seems pretty good to me.
We're watching a lot of creature decks that aren't really flush with removal, and I think Elves is just very good in those kind of matchups.
Yeah, you know, if there's not a lot of interaction, you mentioned, you know, like that deck that we just watched. If Clay does draw the fetch line, sure, the narrative's different.
Yeah.
But you know, he's got Fatal Push. He had a Dismember in his hand that entire game that he could not cast because it's going to bring his life down too low. But Elves does a nice job of getting out in front of its opponent, and the spells that it does play, Collected Company and Court of Calling, both very, very powerful.
Yes, I mean, any of your big spells that stick if you have any sort of board are usually going to be game-winning plays, and I watched this deck be able to win even without those kind of cards in the match where creatures aren't getting disrupted, because Elvish Archdruid and Azuri alongside just really any collection of elves is going to overpower most boards.
And we saw in that particular game where Archdruid, 2 of them ended up being more than enough just to be able to make the other elves bigger to be able to attack for the win. So it's not always about dumping mana in Azuri or dumping mana in the Court of Calling, stuff like that. Some of the elves are just good on their own.
Right.
Which actually is a pretty big selling point for the deck. So one more match this round. Since we only were able to bring you 1 last round, we'll bring you 3 this round. We are going to watch, looks like Scapeshift and old Junderino. Not sure what year it is. It was an Obzon?
Siege Rhino.
Oh, I missed it. I missed it. All right, let's go down to the match right now. It's Obzon. I apologize. It's a handshake. That's your favorite.
Yes.
That's your favorite. We'll have to find out who won. Tyler Maloney and Levi Basham. Red, Green, Breach, and Obzon. That was a good live look in right there.
We were coming in game 2, so I think that was I'm guessing that was a dub for Scapeshift.
That was a dub for Scapeshift. Now let's take a look at this Scapeshift deck here. It looks like it's got some Through the Breaches in it too. So I got Primeval Titan. I got Summoner's Packs. I got Through the Breaches.
Woodfall Primus.
Woodfall Primus, okay. Got Valakut's. Okay, so I got no Scapeshifts here in this build, but 3 copies of Hour of Promise. Okay, so much heavier on Through the Breach. No Emrakul's though.
Okay.
That's kind of a bummer.
Yeah. But a different build.
Yeah, so this is all Primeval Titan all the time with 4 packs and 4 Titans, and then the Primus that you can search for too, which is a combo with Through the Breach, combo with Persist. You get it. You get it. So let's call it 2.5 matches.
2.5.
2.5 matches. Didn't really get to watch that 3rd match there, unfortunately for us and for you guys at home. But it's modern, so we'll be able to bring you guys most of the time 2 matches per round, sometimes more than that, or at least we'll certainly.